in worse condition than the lift bridge in Stillwater. This mega bridge also will feed directly into Minnesota State Highway 36. Tens of thousands of my constituents along Highway 36, Oakdale, Maplewood, Roseville, and North St. Paul and Little Canada will be suffering with crippling traffic congestion and higher property taxes to pay to relieve that congestion. This is a bad piece of legislation. I urge my colleagues to oppose it. I would ask how much time I have remaining, and of Mr. Petri, how many more speakers he has left.
The gentlelady has 4 minutes remaining.
Mr. Speaker, at this time I would like to ask Representative Bachmann from the neighboring state of Minnesota, strong proponent of the legislation before us. I would like to yield 4 minutes.
And Mr. Speaker, as Representative Bachmann approaches the well, the gentleman from Wisconsin has the right to close, and I'm wondering the other speakers he has.
How many speakers does the gentleman have?
One who is before us.
The gentleman has one.
Are you closing, or is Representative Bachmann closing?
I've reserved, I think, 30 seconds.
Okay. So I have one other speaker then after Ms. Bachmann. Thank you.
Gentlelady reserves. The chair recognizes gentlelady from Minnesota for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to have the record reflect very clearly that if Representative McCollum gets her way, she will kill building the bridge over the St. Croix River. As we all know, this is, and as our office has been told, this is one of the longest, if not the longest, unfinished bridge projects in the history of the United States. That's why it's come to this point, Mr. Speaker, where we actually have to go to Congress to get permission from the federal government so that the state of Minnesota and the state of Wisconsin can build this common sense bridge at their own expense, and that's the point that we're at. Not only will Representative McCollum be acting against the wishes of 86% of the people that live and reside in the St. Croix River Valley, the responsibility for the increased costs of building this bridge rests squarely on the shoulders of Representative McCollum and on her compatriots who have fought for decades to kill the building of this bridge. The cost? The bridge would have cost $80 million to complete back in 1992 if her compatriots wouldn't have tied this bridge project up for decades in the federal courts. Nuisance lawsuits. And why? Because they said there was pollution that was involved. And what was this pollution that they asserted? They said it would be visual pollution. Visual pollution? Because a federal bureaucrat came out to this river and pointed to the river and said they didn't think that a bridge would look good built on this river, and that's in spite of the fact that there's already a bridge that's here on this river. This is a wide part of the river. This is the river that is literally the birthplace of Minnesota. As long as people have been in the state of Minnesota, Stillwater is the birthplace. I've been working on this issue as a young mother living in this community, as an activist citizen who saw what a common sense project this is. Representative McCollum has talked about this being a mega bridge. This is a 4-lane bridge. And after all, why wouldn't you build a 4-lane bridge when you have a 4-lane highway on Minnesota connected to a 4-lane highway in Wisconsin? Representative McCollum is suggesting that we should be building a 2- or a 3-lane bridge. Why would you build a bridge that would be obsolete the day that it's opened? You would build a common sense 4-lane bridge to connect 2 4-lane highways. This is also a center for industry in this region. We have not only the prison, the state prison, we have also one of the largest window manufacturers in the world. We have the sewer treatment plant, the water treatment plant. We have a marina. This is the place that has been the site that's been selected as the perfect place to build this bridge to connect these two communities. As we've heard before, this is an area that has a bridge that currently has a safety rating that's far below the safety rating of the bridge that collapsed in Minneapolis in 2007. We have a historic opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime magic moment when we have governors that are Republican and Democrat, senators that are Republican and Democrat, representatives that are Republican and Democrat saying, for once, let's come together and do what the people expect. And why did we get to this point? Bureaucratic red tape. We are here in full square agreement with the administration saying, let's get this done on behalf of the people of these two states. Let's do what should have been done decades ago, and let's build this common sense bridge. And I yield back.
The gentlelady yields. The gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.
Is the gentleman from Wisconsin prepared to close after the last speaker? Is the gentleman from Wisconsin prepared to close after the last speaker that I have on my side?
I'm prepared to close after you've finished, yes.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield as much time as remains to my colleague from Minneapolis who faced firsthand the tragedy of what happens when a bridge collapses. And as I pointed out, I have 7 bridges that have hundreds of thousands of cars every day on them in worse shape than the Stillwater Bridge. And with that, I yield to Mr. Ellison in Minneapolis.
The gentleman from Minnesota is recognized for 4 minutes.
You know, Mr. Speaker, I stood on a highway called Highway 7 on Friday at a bridge that was rated a 23 out of 100 scale. That bridge, 73 years old, in desperate need of repair, designated structurally deficient. You know, but I could go to another bridge within walking distance of my home over the Mississippi River, only a few blocks from where the bridge fell down only a few years ago, but that would be on Plymouth Avenue. And people who know the area, they know Plymouth Avenue. That bridge, Mr. Speaker, was and is shut down. You cannot drive a car over it. Now, that would only be about 398 other bridges that are structurally deficient in Minnesota that need repair right now. You know, I'm sensitive to bridges that need repair because it wasn't in somebody else's district that the I-35 bridge fell. It was in my own. 13 Minnesotans went to their reward. 100 had severe back and other injuries. I am incredibly sensitive to the need to fix our state's bridges, our nation's bridges, which is why I am against this project. $700 million bridge when we have structurally deficient bridges all over the state of Minnesota, all over the United States. This is not a good use of taxpayer money. And I find it absolutely shocking that all these fiscal conservatives lining up to throw money at this enormously overexpensive, overhyped mega bridge. Where are the anti-earmark advocates around here? Where are the people who call for smaller government? Where are the conservatives, small c, who say let's build a right-sized bridge that makes sense so that other bridges may be fixed around our state? Well, I guess all of that only matters, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to your own little project or earmark project. Then all of a sudden it gains a whole lot of other kind of credibility undiscovered before. You know, Mr. Speaker, I think it needs to be pointed out that this bridge, this proposed bridge, which would carry about 18,000 vehicles a day, that's important. I feel for those folks, and I want them to have their bridge, and I would support a sane, sensible bridge. But you know what? The I-35 bridge, much talked about tonight, carries 140,000 people every day. 18,000 at $700 million versus the I-35 bridge, which cost us about $260 million, was built in 1 year, less than a year, and carries 140,000? This is not a good use of taxpayer money. It soaks up resources that other people need. It violates our Scenic and Wild River Act. This is a bad idea. You know, Mr. Speaker, I would far prefer if this bill were to go back to committee, go through the regular order, be defeated here on suspension, but go back through the committee process so some sensible amendments might be offered so this could be a good, decent project perhaps. But that's not what's happening. Suspension is for things that's supposed to be uncontroversial. We're supposed to be here passing post offices. But here we are, dealing with what is absolutely a controversial piece of legislation on a suspension calendar with no chance to amend. I wish we had that chance, because if we did, I would say we need to come together as a state, as a nation, and fix all the bridges of this country, all the bridges of this state, and not just one big, fat mega bridge. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentleman's time has expired. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Wisconsin.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. I would remind the gentleman that we have come together. The legislation before us, S. 1134, passed the United States Senate by unanimous consent. It has a few people who seem to have raised some concerns here, but the fact of the matter is that Al Franklin, the senator from Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, Herb Kohl, senators from both parties have joined together in recognizing the need and importance and urging their colleagues who unanimously supported this. It's about time we did our job here in the House of Representatives. This project has been studied for over 20 years. Representative Ron Kind, as he said so eloquently in his statement, has consulted with every conceivable interest group in the area. As my colleague Representative Bachmann said, the people in Minnesota and Wisconsin are wondering when we're going to do our job. This is a major hazard now. An old bridge, we saw what happened with other bridges in Minnesota. The growing population, commuter populations back and forth in the greater Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and it's about time this hazard was removed and we had a bridge that we could be proud of and that was less intrusive than the one that's there now. So I urge my colleagues to pass the legislation before us and yield back the balance of my time.